I'm General C.Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force.
General Brown, tell us about the status of the Air Force right now. 75 years in, where does it stand?
Well, I would tell you as we celebrate our 75th anniversary this year, and on September 18th is actually the date of our anniversary. We are actually the most respected Air Force in the world. And so when you look at our history of where we've been and where we are today, that's where we are. My goal here as a Chief of Staff of the Air Force is to ensure that stays the same over the next 5, 10, 15, but another 75 years and beyond is where I'm focused at as the Chief of Staff of the Air Force.
Talk a little bit about your responsibilities around the world for the U.S. right now.
Well, there's two aspects I would share on that. First of all, as a Chief of Staff of the Air Force, my primary duty is to organize, train, and equip the forces that deploy around the world to support our combatant commands and work with our allies and partners to ensure not only the security for the United States, but security around the world. And so, as you kind of highlight, we do have airmen stationed around the world or deployed around the world to work very closely with our allies and partners to ensure we provide that security for the United States, but also with our allies and partners.
So diversity is very important. You made a big effort specifically after the George Floyd incident. I remember that tweet very well, to highlight the need for diversity and understanding. Where do your efforts stand right now in terms of diversity in the Air Force?
Well, we're doing a lot of work on diversity and inclusion. It started with some reviews. So we can really take a hard look at ourselves, understand the data for different demographic groups from race, ethnicity, and gender. And then at the same time, as we do that, to have a good understanding of the data and how different career paths and demographics progress. And then the other aspect of that is then how do we take a look at ourselves and start to make change? One of the things I do as a Chief of Staff of the Air Force is I chair the Diversity and Inclusion Council for the Air Force. At the same time, I work with our barrier access working groups that represent the various demographics across the Air Force, so I can hear directly from our airmen some of the things that they are concerned about, some of the things they'd like to see change. And then I, as a Chief of Staff, I've got to balance all that across the Air Force. I got 3 key elements that I focus on as I do this. The things we do have to be meaningful. So when we make changes or adjust from a diversity and inclusion standpoint, it's got to be meaningful to our airmen. And if it doesn't resonate with them, then it's probably not going to not move forward. So that's the first piece. Second piece, it's got to be sustainable, which means we've got to resource it and put money behind it when we do make that change, when money's required, or put personnel behind it to support the implementation of some of the ideas. And the third piece, it's got to be enduring. And it's got to be something that's going to be around our Air Force well after I'm gone. And so that's the other thing that I'm focused on to do that. We are making progress. And I think that one of the key parts I would highlight to you is the fact that our airmen have a voice. Our airmen and guardians have a voice. And that, to me, is probably the most important piece, is that they were able to communicate with the senior leadership. We're able to hear them. Now, we can't do everything they've asked for in some cases as you work through a military organization with the other military services, but we are making some good progress in some key areas, and it's noticed. And I think that it's appreciated that their voice is being heard, and we're able to make some of the changes they're asking for.
General, last question. The Air Force in the eyes of the international community. Give us a sense of how important that is.
It's very important, and as you're the most respected Air Force in the world, there are those Air Forces that our allies and partners that want to work very closely with us. In some cases, want to operate with us, but also in some aspects of interoperability, operate with some of the same equipment. I think the flip side of that, though, is our adversaries. And then anytime you're number one or you're a champion of anything, there's those that are gunning for you. And that's the aspect when I think about our threats and our adversaries. We can't be the most respected Air Force in the world by resting on our laurels. We've got to ensure that we continue to pay attention to the threat, and at the same time continue to change and evolve to ensure that we can provide the security that the nation asks us to provide.
General, thank you.
Thank you.